see, I am home sweet home back in the state of Maine, coming from the Pay Compass Studios live to you on this Toolbox Tuesday. Before we begin, I want to give a big heartfelt thank you to the entire Pay Compass family in Tempe, Arizona. Thank you very much for having me there last week. I enjoyed hanging out with all of you, rolling up my sleeves, getting the job done. You guys are fantastic, and I can't wait to be home sweet home again in Tempe sometime very soon. Don't know when that's going to be, but I promise, family, I'll see you all again very soon. Let's talk about what's coming up for the month of March, because you know what? Oh my God, it's not done yet. Heck no, we got more stuff coming up. Next week on Tuesday, March 17th, we're doing a coffee with closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath, and we have not one, but two Toolbox Tuesdays happening for the remainder of March. So coming up on Tuesday, March 24th, we're going to be bringing in Tim Healy from MX Merchant, and we're going to walk through that MX Merchant portal together. Did you know it's been over a year since we've had MX as a special guest in the studio? It's true, it's long overdue. So make sure you join us on Tuesday, March 24th, MX Merchant. We're going to have Tim Healy in the studio, and we are going to wrap up the month of March on March 31st with a bonus Toolbox Tuesday. We're bringing back in Andrew Murray from Cloud Auto because, man, oh man, he's got some really cool updates for you. First and foremost, Cloud Auto, the entire platform got a facelift. So it's got a brand new user interface that's going to make things a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner for all of your customers. And the bonus, Cloud Auto now does mobile payments. As always, friends, if you don't see those invites on your calendar, just reach out. We're more than happy to get them sent over to you. Easiest thing you can do is just send an email to sales@paycompass.com. More than happy to get those invites on your calendar. So this is Toolbox Tuesday. We are recording today's session, usually within about 24 hours or so. We get this posted on our Pay Compass YouTube channel, so you can go back and revisit it. However, we are aware that some folks, they don't like watching a recording. They would much rather have a transcript that they can read through, and that's fine. So this is your opportunity. If you're the type of person that likes to use an AI note taker, go ahead, get it launched. We don't mind at all. We highly encourage it on Toolbox Tuesday if that works best for you. Before I introduce our guest panelist, I've got to introduce my co-host. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed that all of the cool legends come from New Jersey? Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, and this guy, John Marshall. Hey, John. Happy Tuesday, friend.
Hey, Scott. Good to be here. Just wanted to remind you all, if you missed those links for the upcoming Toolbox Tuesdays or Coffee with Closers, you can find them right here in the Genie app. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Toolbox Tuesday brought to you by Genie. Genie, when you need answers quickly, pull it out of your pocket and you can find it right there. I'm sorry, I don't have a catchier slogan for that, but there we go. But make sure you are using that Genie app. John and I have been working very hard to make sure that it is updated frequently. But you know what? We got to introduce our guest panelists, and I am super excited about this. We just did a call last week where we created the outline for today's session, so today is going to be fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give some love to Gene Schoenberg from Valor Paytech. Gene, you are on the call, my friend, are you not? I believe I saw you on here.
I am, and great to be here. Thank you.
Excellent, good. Gene, always good to see you. Now, here's the crazy part. I can't believe it's been an entire year since we've had you here in the studio talking to our entire audience. And a lot has changed within the past year. Some of the stuff has changed with your technology, which we're going to talk about today. But the biggest thing that's changed, Gene, we have got a whole bunch of agents that worked here last year when you joined us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it over to you right now. Why don't you get our audience up to speed with who you are, talk to them about Valor Paytech and why Valor Paytech should be top of mind when they're talking to their merchants.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for allowing me into your homes and offices to talk to you today. One of the things that we've noticed over the years is that we always talk about what's new at Valor, but we never talk about why Valor. And today seemed like a particularly good opportunity, especially since there's so many new people at Pay Compass, to sort of talk about what makes Valor different and why Valor in the first place. So Valor is the only platform that was designed from the ground up to be 100% in the cloud. And what that means is that the mid sits in the cloud, the processing sits in the cloud, everything that the merchant does or that your back office does or needs sits in the cloud. And there's some really great benefits that come from that. First of all, we never lose a batch. Once the transaction is completed, it's in the cloud, and it's just never lost. There's no place for it to get lost. It's not in the terminal where you have to batch out at the end of the night, and if something happens with that terminal, you lose the batch and have to recreate it and go through that aggravation. Um, because the mid's in the cloud, everything that we look at that merchant does throughout the course of their business is just another thing to interact with the cloud. So our terminals are card present interactions with the cloud. The virtual terminal is a card not present interaction with the cloud. E-commerce, shopping carts, e-invoices, hosted payment pages, point of sale solutions, all the things that a business needs all can interact with the same mid that sits in the cloud. And I know that that may sound a little confusing, but the other side of that equation is that the merchant now can log into a single place and peek into the cloud, peek into their business and see all of their transactions in one location. So if a chargeback dispute comes into that merchant, they're not logging into the terminal system to try to find that transaction. It's not there. Oh, now let me log into an NMI or auth.net and see if I can find it there. Nope, it's not there. Now let me log into my Magento or WooCommerce or my point of sale solution. Merchants don't have to hunt for things anymore. At the end of the day, if it's a restaurant, they can log into the portal and they can do tip adjusting on a nice big screen or tablet and not have to do it on a tiny terminal. By the way, you'll notice for those of you that are watching, my screen just went dark. I have a brand new camera that is supposed to follow me around. So if I lean this way, it's supposed to go this way. If I lean this way, it's supposed to go this way. The problem is that I'm not using the microphone. I'm using my AirPods. So it thinks it's just sitting here idly not working, and it will occasionally go to sleep. So I'll try to keep moving so that it doesn't do that. But I digress. But the merchant then can do refunds from the cloud. They can do void transactions if the batch is open from the cloud. They can go back and pull up a receipt for a chargeback dispute that's up to 2 years old in the cloud. They can simply batch from our mobile app. They can batch from the terminal. They can batch from the portal. Or they could just say, close all my batches at 2 a.m. and it automatically happens from the cloud. And that terminal could be turned off in a drawer, whatever the circumstance is. So from a merchant standpoint, it's a single point. It makes things easy. The merchant has a whole suite of tools, some of which I'll show you here in a second. And that's really what sets Valor apart from the rest of the world, is that having everything in the cloud, not just some stuff, or we added it on and bolted it onto a different system later, gives the merchant a unique set of tools. But from your perspective, it also makes your life easier as a sales agent, because if you imagine you go to a pizza place and the pizza place just needs a countertop terminal at the cash register to take credit cards, you can sell them a Valor VL or VP100. They can add a 300 pin pad if they want to, and they're good to go. But maybe that restaurant says, you know what, we'd like to start doing pay at the table or curbside pickup. You can add a Valor wireless terminal that has either Wi-Fi or a SIM card in it, and they now can use pay at the table or curbside pickup and add that on. Maybe later they decide they want to do mail order. Pizza place is now going to start shipping pies all over the country under dry ice. They need a shopping cart connection. You can bolt that on as well. As the business grows and needs more things, you can continue to add all these different features that Valor offers to that merchant, making that merchant stickier, happier, and more likely to hang around and not go someplace else when you've added all the things that they've needed and supplied all their needs and done it in a nice, easy way. So I realize that's a fairly lengthy explanation. Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add to that before I jump into the portal and some of the screens I'm going to share?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm sitting here writing notes, and speaking of writing notes, you, sales agent, yeah, I'm talking to you, sales agent. I could see you right now. You're going to have questions, and we want your questions. So please take heart in knowing, just like every other Toolbox Tuesday, I'm going to sit here, interview with Gene for a little bit, Probably towards the bottom of the hour, we're going to break for questions. We'll open it up 5, 10 minutes. Ask any and all questions that you got. Just come off mute. You don't even have to use the raised hand feature. You can just come off mute, ask your questions to Gene, or if you would like, we got a chat feature located here in our meeting. Go ahead, type your questions. I'll make sure that we get those in front of Gene. So, Gene, one of the things that I just wanted to kind of capitalize on in regards to the cloud-based capabilities that Valor provides, I love what you're saying as far as a merchant can log into a big screen on a laptop or a tablet or a phone or whatever it is that works best for them. But from just a curiosity question, from a support standpoint, if any of our merchants were to call into our support team, would they have that same level of visibility as far as what the merchant could see?
Um, yes, with a tiny caveat. So,
Caveat, yep.
absolutely, the beauty of being in the cloud from a support standpoint is that support can also log in and see the merchant. The back office can change parameters in the terminal. They can push out a new version. They can put the terminal in monitor mode and watch the merchant go through transactions to make sure they're doing it in the right way, or maybe they've hit something wrong and they don't understand how to get out of what they need. All those tools are available to your back office, and because the batch is in the cloud and it's not in the terminal, we can actually change parameters and update that terminal without having to close the batch first, because you don't risk losing the batch when you update the terminal in the middle of the day. The other big benefit, and this is more for the PayCompass back office and support than it is for you at face value, is that let's presume for the sake of argument that your entire portfolio is doing bin based surcharge, cash discount, dual pricing, whatever the program is that you've put in there, and Visa decides tomorrow that the cash button has to be green and the credit button has to be blue on the terminal, or else you're no longer compliant and you face fines. I realize that's far-fetched, but you follow my Visa changed the percentage that you could do. So it could be something more substantial. We at Valor can make that change in the portal, and we can update your entire estate, thousands and thousands of terminals magically overnight, because everything's cloud-based, and we can update it in the cloud, and that terminal will be perfectly compliant the next morning. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but imagine if that change took place and you, as the agent, had to go to every one of your merchants and update
Right.
those terminals one at a time. You'd basically be spending weeks updating terminals instead of making sales. And that's where the strength of the cloud also comes in.
Excellent. Thank you for expanding upon that. And Gene, tell you what, before you take over the screen, my colleague John over here, I know that he is a huge, huge Valor fan. Within the past couple of months, we've been spending more time, taking more deep dives into it. John, I'm actually going to kick it over to you. And as far as tying into some of the content that Gene's covered already, John, you got anything, my man?
Yeah, I think one of the Valor's big strengths, and we don't probably talk about it enough, and Gene, I know you're going to touch on this a little later today, and that is your integrations with QuickBooks. In fact, your bi-directional integrations with QuickBooks. So a lot of users out there that their businesses rely on that, and I think there's some neat tools and ways that you all can have new conversations regarding Valor because of their bi-directional QuickBooks sync. So I'm gonna bait that up for later, Gene.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. So another analogy that I like to use when I talk about Valor is, imagine that your Valor suite of tools is, see, there went the camera. I'm just going to switch to my VP800 camera and leave it here for when I do a demo in just a little bit, just to make things easier. I look at the suite of tools that Valor gives you to go be successful in the field like a box of Legos. You have your card present terminal Legos. You have your card not present Lego, e-commerce, hosted payment pages, shopping cart connections, the QuickBooks integration, some of the things I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Think of all those different things as a different Lego. When you go into a merchant's place of business and you're putting together a solution for them, the Legos that you take out of the Valor box and put together make the solution for that particular merchant. And we give you as many Legos as we can so that you can cobble together or build a solution for each merchant that you go see, because not every merchant's going to be the same. Some merchants are going to want a hosted payment page Lego. Some merchants are going to want a pay at the table Lego. Some merchants are going to want a shopping cart Lego or QuickBooks integration or the other things I'm going to show you in a little bit. But you have all these Legos. And the other thing about Valor that sets us apart is that if you need a Lego that we don't have, you have a great opportunity. It's going to mean a lot of business for you. You've discovered a new
Oh
vein
my God.
of accounts that you can call on and close. But Valor doesn't have a certain thing that you need. Be sure you push that back up your management team and make sure that that gets from them to us and give us the opportunity to create that thing for you to be able to be successful and make that sale. Sometimes it doesn't always happen as fast as you might want it, depending on how complicated it is. But if it's something simple, a toggle or a feature or a bell or a whistle within the terminal that doesn't exist, those are things we can get done rather quickly, and let us help you be more successful in that respect. So what you're looking at on my screen right now is basically just the Valor Paytech landing page. And I always like to start here because there's some resources available to you that will allow you to self-help, self-learn, etc. when it comes to using Valor. And they all start with this resource tab here at the end. There's three areas that I really want to focus on. The first one is the partner materials and training. And here is where you can find images of all of our products. You can find quick reference guides. So if you're not sure about how FlexFactor works or surcharging, or you want to know more about the VP350 or our mobile app, those things, excuse me, you can find here in the quick reference guides. There's also installation guides for our shopping carts. So again, you're in a merchant situation. The merchant says, listen, I'd love to switch to Pay Compass, but I use WooCommerce. How do we hook that up? Here is the step-by-step installation guide to connect their WooCommerce to Valor. And the other one here are videos. Now, these videos can be found in a variety of places. You can find them on our YouTube channel. You can find them here on our website. You can also find them in our portal, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But you can find videos on products. So you want to learn more about specific terminals. You want to know about how to sell particular solutions, integrations, how-tos, everything you can find here in this part of the website. And there's no login required, so you can get to this very easily. The other one is the knowledge base, and this is exactly what you expect it to be. I don't know how to do tip adjusting, so I type in tip adjust, and all of a sudden, I'm now presented with a variety of responses related to tip adjusting. And you'll see that there's a little key here. If there's little arrows, it's ISO facing. If there's a little book or brackets, it's merchant facing. So in all likelihood, you're going to want to click the merchant side, or I can click merchant and filter by just the merchant facing solutions, and I can find what I need on how to do tip adjusting. It's very simple. The last thing I wanted to share with you on here, and let me go back to the main page, is if I go to resources and go to the ISV directory, this is something that's relatively new, and this is a living directory that continues to grow as we add new partners. But these are all the POS partners that we have today. So if you're at a merchant's location and they're using a particular point of sale solution, if it's on here, we can migrate them over and you can continue to have them work as without any disruptions. Or if there's a particular point of sale solution that you like and it's in here, you know that you can go out with confidence and go close that merchant and offer one of these solutions. So this is a constantly growing list of ISVs as we continue to certify. This is a specific area that we're focusing on as a company. And I wouldn't be surprised if this list is twice this size by this time next year.
Gene, I got to say the best part about you scrolling through that screen and stopping at a certain point, and John, I know you saw it too. Bodega AI, friends, that's our newest partner. We just did a Toolbox Tuesday, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago with Bodega AI. So look at that. One of the POS systems on the Valor list is one of our brand new partners, Bodega AI. So good stuff, Gene. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt on that one, but I got super excited when I saw it on the screen.
No, no, not at all. Please jump in. This is informal. We're all friends, and if you see something that is question worthy or comment worthy, by all means, I will try to breathe occasionally. And when I take a breath, feel free to jump in because I get super excited about this sometimes and I forget to stop. So,
No
all
worries.
right. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, yep, everybody else is paying attention to the POS list. Look at that. We got everybody excited. They're paying attention to the POS list. Excellent. Gene, carry on, my man. Go ahead.
Awesome. So what you see here on this screen is the Valor Paytech merchant-facing portal. I'm in our demo environment right now. Gene's Irish Pub is my fake business. And you can see the dashboard and it just gives you some basic information. If I go to transactions, you can see the transactions that I've run so far this month. You'll see that if this was really a business, it would be in serious trouble because they've only made 4 sales and it's already the 10th of the month, but this is my demo account. So let's just go look at last month so we have a little bit more activity. And you'll notice on here a variety of things. And let me make this just a little wider here. You'll see, first of all, when the transactions occurred and this one in red that failed. So you will see if you hover over these, if there's a red one here, it'll say why it failed, if there was a specific reason or code that was delivered. When the transaction occurred, what kind of transaction? Was it a credit sale? Was it a cash sale? Was it a PIN debit? The card, the device that it ran on. In this case, you'll see here at the top, for example, it was a $75 charge. There was no tip, tax. The differential was $3. And if I expanded this, you'd see the total. And then this EPI is the number of the device that it ran on. And everything in our Valor ecosystem has a unique EPI assigned to it. These are endpoint indicators, and endpoints are what we use in our language to talk about the things that the cloud is connected to. So terminals are physical endpoints, virtual terminals are virtual endpoints. Again, shopping cart, POS, all the things that are connect, each thing connects using a unique endpoint, which allows us to be able to manage these, track them, and if there's ever a question or issue, we can drill down to the exact item that interacted with the Valor Cloud to create that. Now, a couple things I can do here. Let me find a VP800 transaction. Here's one right here at the top. It's an odd amount, so that means it's something that's itemized. I just didn't put in $75 or $100 for a test. And let's take a look in here and view the receipt. Now, again, if you have a chargeback dispute, the merchant can go to one place and find all of the transactions. And in this case, you'll see that the total is here, and you'll notice there's line items. And that's because we have light POS and light inventory as a built-in feature within the Valor ecosystem. All of our Android terminals and the virtual terminal have the ability to do light POS and light inventory. I'll talk about that in more detail in a minute, but the benefit is here is the merchant can see exactly what they sold and the customer gets an itemized receipt, which is a nice thing to do. And these receipts are kept in the cloud, like I said, for at least 2 years. So more than long enough for a simple chargeback dispute, long enough that if a customer calls and said, hey, I'm doing my expenses, I can't find my receipt for this night, can you send it to me? Or even if somebody's doing their taxes and they can't find a receipt, they need to write off a meal for business or whatever, 2 years is more than ample time to be able to do that. If I pull up just a general receipt, you'll see here, this was just run for $75. There's no itemization here. It was just a amount that was run. You can also see in here that this is a closed batch. So in here, I have the ability, depending on which device it is and which transaction, I can issue a refund. So in this case, let's say, for example, I have a business, customer calls into my business and they're not happy with something or whatever it is. And I say, you know what, totally understand. Let me give you a refund. How about if I take $5 off your bill? Would that make you happy? And you can put that in there. I can put in a credit memo and I can just say partial refund for late delivery, for whatever that is. And then I can put in the customer's information if they want to have a copy. You'll also notice down here, it says create update refund in QuickBooks. Because I have QuickBooks synced with my demo account, you're going to see a QuickBooks checkbox in different places throughout the ecosystem. So if I have that checked and I have that syncing with QuickBooks, that refund will make its way back to the original QuickBooks transaction, and that refund will show up on that record and that invoice. So when I do my reconciliation, everything lines up properly and I can proceed to do that. And I've now approved that refund, and you'll see that refund show up here in the portal. So these are some of the
Gene,
things.
uh,
Yes.
yeah, Gene, I was going to say, if you don't mind, just very quickly, sales agents, I want to throw this out there to you. While we are aware that we have other offerings that can assist with that QuickBooks sync and everything else, I'm going to tell all of you right now, if you're not presenting Valor for those businesses that need that QuickBooks sync, you're missing the boat. For the amount of time, energy that Valor has been putting into their entire platform from their devices all the way up to the VT level, I'm going to tell you right now, this is super duper slick. Gene, one of the things that I wanted to point out here, and I'm going off a little bit of a faulty memory, so you're going to help me out here. So when I'm looking at the screen, I can see the device type, I can see the virtual terminal, the VP 800, etc. Correct me if I'm wrong. We could actually drill down, or as a merchant, the merchant can drill down by location, by device too, correct?
Absolutely. So, and thank you for being such a great host and teeing up that question for me.
Not
Um,
bad.
I have the ability up here at the top to filter. I can filter by EPI, by mid, by transaction ID. You can see all the different things in here. I can even do it by who initiated the transaction if I'm tracking people. So you have the ability as a merchant to create logins for users, or you have the ability to do um, detailed tip reports. If you have servers, you can add servers and run tip reports throughout the day. You can just pull them up on demand, either from the terminal or from the portal. And by having those servers logging in and using those terminals, you can track by that. And you can see amounts less than, amounts greater than. I mean, you really can drill down to a variety of different parameters if you're hunting for a transaction. And on my screen, you're looking at just a handful of transactions, maybe for a day. But if you're looking for a chargeback dispute, or you've had some issue as a merchant, being able to filter, up to 2 years worth of data to find out, maybe there's a customer who's a regular customer and you want to know how much they've spent over a period of time. So you want to filter by the last four numbers of their credit card, or, you know, just a variety of things. So you have that ability to do that.
Hey, Gene, can
And
I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
John.
To play off of that, I heard something really interesting. It was either on our practice call or some earlier call. Taking that one step further, we always think about servers in restaurants and like tracking their sales and their tips. But think about salons that rent out multiple chairs. Think about apartment buildings that have units and building numbers, right? To go into that a little bit, that you can really craft this for a number of different verticals and businesses.
Absolutely. So think about that as just some more Legos in your Lego box where you would cobble together the solution based on that business. So um, there's two separate things that you mentioned, John, when you said that. And they're two different features within the Valor ecosystem. The first one is detailed tip reporting. So if I go to device management and I'm going to pick the VP800 and I'm going to edit the parameters. I haven't done this for a while, but you'll notice right here it says server clerk setup. If I enable that, it's now going to have me add servers and clerks, and I can put in a clerk ID just by a simple number. Um, or I can, maybe it's the last four digits of their phone number. So something easy for the clerk to be able to pick, um, and be able to set that up. And when I've closed, I now have uh, servers set up. So when I update this terminal, it's then going to prompt me to enter a server code because I have that set as mandated. Actually, I have it set as I have it disabled right now. But that's how I can do it very simply here in the system. I'm actually going to back out of this and not save it because it's going to mess me up later. Um, the other one that you mentioned was in a salon, and the difference there is you can set it up the way I just showed you, and clerks and servers could be the same as chairs within a salon, but you also have the ability to do multi-mid. So you can have a single terminal that has a dozen mids in there, and they can toggle between the mids simply by putting in a login code, and it'll load the mid that matches that particular stylist and have multiple mids. So in that case, that's a hardware saving solution that we offer. You don't need 12 terminals for 12 chairs. You still have to have 12 accounts, but you only need one terminal instead of 12 terminals in that case. So that's going to save that business a ton of money when it comes to that. And the mids can all be separate. So the money could be funded, however the salon builds those mids and sets those up.
And Gene, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's pause real quick because I see we have some questions that are coming into the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
Sure.
read these questions off to you. Um, Team, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. You have got the number one Valor expert on this call right now. And there's no such thing as a silly question. So let's make sure we get those questions in front of him. You can come off mute, ask your questions. So Gene, a couple of questions in the chat. What is the number of sale items that are supported with Valor?
That's a great question. So let me stop sharing my screen for a second
Sure.
and ask you in the audience. I don't remember how, Scott, you might remember, there's something you can click on Zoom to make my terminal your primary screen. So it's the bigger screen. It's not a tiny tile. I don't remember
Zach,
what that is.
we can actually see it as the big screen right now when I stop talking. So go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So if you look at the VP800, um, you'll see, first of all, you may not have seen one like this before, but it is sitting in a communication cradle. And the communication cradle has a variety of ports that you can see here. One of them is to an Ethernet. So when it's sitting, it's docked, it's wired. The other one is a cache drawer, which it's sitting on right here. The other one is, in this case, I've got it set to a wireless barcode scanner. So if I'm looking at this as a normal merchant and I'm at a food truck or a farmer's market or someplace like that, I might hit the shopping cart button and, okay, I'm doing breakfast right now, and here are my breakfast choices. And I can pick an egg sandwich and some bacon. And when I click on drinks, I'm going to wash that down with a cup of coffee. Now, I just jumped to a couple of things on my screen by choosing breakfast and drinks and went through a list. If I'm using it in this environment, I'm going to just guess and say 60, 70, maybe 80 SKUs is the most you're going to have, simply because people aren't going to want to go through this list and hunt for things when they're building a ticket or taking an order. So in a screen where you're hunting, in this case, maybe 60, 70, you could set, four, maybe six tabs across the top, 8 or 10 items down. That gives you around that number. But if I'm going to use a barcode scanner, in this case, this is a wireless barcode scanner, I can have as many items as I want because all I'm doing is scanning barcode items and building my ticket. And I don't know how well you can see it, but as I'm doing this, on this side, you can see them being added up on this side with the cash and card price. And if you can't, let me hold that up for you, flip it around. And you can see I'm building a ticket and the cash and card price is showing up on here as I'm doing that. So in the case of using a barcode scanner, it's unlimited. 20,000, 30,000, whatever number of SKUs the business has that they've got part numbers for, they have the ability to do that. Let me go back to sharing my screen again here. And I'll take a minute. And I realize we sort of went off on a tangent, but let me go to settings. You'll see up here, there's product. And this is where the merchant puts the product that they're going to want to have show up on their devices. Now, under the actions, I have the ability to download a sample file, which is essentially a blank spreadsheet with these headings on the top of them. So the merchant can put all the information that they need into the spreadsheet and then do a mass upload and load all their items at the same time. So if they're using another program and they can export their inventory to a spreadsheet, they could massage it to match the template for the sample file and then upload all that and not have to enter this stuff one at a time. But the beauty, again, because it's in the cloud, this inventory that you see on my screen is the same inventory that you see in the terminal device. It's the same inventory you see in the virtual terminal. If I'm a food truck or farmer's market and I've got 3 terminals operating simultaneously, they're all sharing the same inventory. So as this decrements on one terminal, those numbers are being reflected on the other terminals so they don't accidentally sell something that ran out on another terminal. This is all, again, the benefit of being in the cloud.
Gene, very quickly, since you're on this screen and a question popped up in the chat, modifiers available within this type of a setup?
Um, I the short answer is yes. The long answer is I wouldn't use them.
Okay.
And the reason is there's a modifier here, and I've played with it a little bit. But here's the thing you have to keep in mind: this light POS and light inventory system is really just to manage inventory. So here are my products. Here's what I've sold. I go to the report section and I pull up my inventory report, and I can look here and I can see how much of a particular item I've sold in a given period of time. So I can go back here. Let's go to last month, just so that there's some data in here. And I can look at my report and see what I've sold. That's really the limit of our point of sale system today. It's going to be great for a food truck, a farmer's market, maybe a mom and pop restaurant, somebody that a nail salon that wants to know at the end of the month how many gel tips they did, how many manicures or pedicures or whatever it is they want to track. That's what this is for. I look at this as the gateway drug to a full-blown POS. You've got a mom and pop business who, I don't want a POS. I don't think I'm going to ever need one. Why would I want one? I don't want to spend the money. Well, I'll tell you what, your terminal comes with a light POS. Why don't we set it up and let you use it for a while and see what you like and see if it does the things that you're interested in tracking? And then they might come back and say, well, that's great, but can I get a back kitchen printer? Can I do other things? Then you'll step them up to a full-blown point of sale system. So for some businesses, this is all they're going to need. It comes with a system. It doesn't cost any extra money. And this will meet the need. It'll help you close the sale and keep that customer happy. Others, they might try this and then move up to another system. We're a terminal manufacturer and a gateway. We're not a point of sale company. And I want to make that clear that our goal is not to replace the point of sale solutions that you're offering in the field. It's just to give them enough of a taste that you can use it as a tool to close some business, win some business, but at the same time, still be able to upgrade them to a full-blown system later on.
And Gene, you know what? This is actually a perfect tee up to another question that was in the chat, given the fact that you talked about some of the modifier capabilities, that the fact that, not really full-blown POS system has sort of that POS functionality. So let's address this question that was in the chat. So with that said, are there industries where Valor is better suited than others? And what are some industries that our audience should shy away from altogether with Valor?
That's a good question. The thing that makes that an interesting question is I'm I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I am pleasantly surprised and delighted when I find out what agents have put Valor in that I wouldn't have thought Valor necessarily would have gone in before. And
Okay.
because again, I know you'll be potentially tired of this by the end of our hour, but because it's a cloud-based platform and we give you all these Legos, it's really up to your creativity and imagination and the business that you're calling on to figure out what pieces you want to put together as part of a solution. So you're looking at a VP 800 right now on my screen, and it's fully set up as a cash drawer. So I can put in my money, I can hit the enter button, I can swipe to pay with cash, and I'm going to put in my tip amount, and the drawer opens. I remember to stand aside this time so it didn't whack me in the body, and I can run that transaction just like that without any problem. But we have other terminals. Let me slide this out of the way and show you. This terminal is the VP550E. And you'll notice there's no printer, E for economy. Maybe this is great. It's actually running a donation app right now, which is a separate application that we're going to be launching sometime soon. But this is like for a towing service. If the tow truck owner doesn't want their drivers using their phone to take a payment and they want to give them a terminal, that terminal, the SIM card, is perfect for that environment. So whether it's, I would say small businesses, medium businesses, retail, restaurant, brick and mortar, mom and pop, lots of people focus on the Fortune 500. We're aimed at the unfortunate 5 million. It's the other rest of the world where our solutions really strive. You're not going to put this in a Walmart store with 30,000 locations. It's not built for that. But everybody else that's out there that you're calling on, whether it's in a strip mall or a business, a dentist office, every one of those is an ideal category. The one category I would say specifically that you could avoid with confidence, right, and that's just for today, is the hospitality hotels segment right now. And that's because they have special certifications where they can like take a $200 deposit and hold it for the room while there's a guest there and clear it out when they check out. There's certain certifications and things that the hospitality industry uses that we don't quite have in Valor yet. And I say yet because I know we'll have it eventually. We just don't have it right now. So long answer, but I wanted to try to be as thorough as I could.
Yep. And I got another question that popped up. Will the POS only work on the VP 800 or will the lower models also run on the POS?
Great question. The short answer is every Android terminal that we have has that little shopping cart at the bottom if inventory is loaded in the particular terminal. So I'm powering up a terminal right here. This happens to be the VP 550. You'll see that little shopping cart at the bottom. Again, if I tap that, it's loading the inventory from the cloud right now. So it takes a second, and there's all the same stuff you saw here that you saw on the VP 800 and you saw on the on my screen. The other thing, by the way, that's a beauty of the cloud system is you'll notice there's a little character right here in the bottom of the screen. If I tap that, it brings up all the information I need when I call support. And if I hit the contact us button, it allows me to put a mobile number in here, choose what the problem is. And this goes to your back office. So any merchant that has a problem and would like someone from your office to call them with support can say, I'm having a transaction issue and my number is in here. I hit the enter button. It's now created a ticket. It says, please wait. Ticket's created successfully. Your back office gets a ding. Somebody looks at the screen and they can see that somebody has just put in a trouble ticket and they're asking to be called for help. And this also integrates with your CRM as well. So I don't know if you're using Salesforce or Zendesk or whatever in your back office, but that syncs with that as well. So another benefit of the cloud is that a merchant can call for help without actually having to pick up the phone and make a phone call.
There we go. One more question in the chat, and then Gene, tell you what I'm going to do is I'll make a suggestion that we jump into the QuickBooks syncing so we can show what that looks like. And then we're going to start to wrap things up with what's coming up on the roadmap for Valor in 2026. You, the audience, tell you what we'll do is we'll save that last 5-10 minutes for you to come back with all of your questions. So another question that was in the chat, Gene, the ability to pass on fee options, safe to assume available with all devices, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Sales agents, towards the end of the call, we're going to start taking the rest of your questions. We do have a little bit more content that we wanted to cover. Gene, are you queuing up for the QuickBooks syncing, my man?
I am.
I can see it.
You can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yep, full screen right there.
Good. I thought maybe I turned it off. So I see a
Nope.
little green box around it. So I know we're live. This is where the QuickBooks sync up occurs within the Valor ecosystem. Again, under settings, same place where I put my products in. I click on the QuickBooks tab and I load my company ID. There is a tutorial in the knowledge base, a tutorial in the settings area where I showed you the partner resources and training. John's pointing at the genie. When you were asking earlier about how you invoke it, I was thinking in my mind that maybe you would rub it and get 3 wishes, but I'm glad you cleared that up for me. I was gonna go find a lamp.
Unlimited wishes, Gene.
Be careful what you wish for, I guess. But you can see here it's very simple. Company ID goes in, and then the rest of it's done. Do I want to have inventory tracking enabled or disabled? Do I want to have the invoice number auto-generated, or do I want to have to manually enter it? Do I want it to sync the invoice when the invoice is created or when the payment's completed? These are just a variety of the different things. And then same thing with QuickBooks Card Present. I can select which terminals in my estate I want to be connected to QuickBook, and it will prompt me to enter an invoice number when I take a card, and that payment will make its way back into QuickBooks as well. So there's some really good settings in here that are built in. I'm going to jump to the virtual terminal real quick and just show you very quickly. You can see right here in the center of my screen, it says create update invoice in QuickBooks or send paid invoice email to client from QuickBooks. It's a very simple 2-way exchange. I can, from QuickBooks, if I'm sending out an invoice that I want someone to pay, it will automatically embed the Valor e-invoice payment link in the invoice when it gets sent to the customer. So it's processing on PayCompass's Rails system, not on Quicken's processing system. If I want to, from in here, I want to be able to enter sales and have it put invoices into QuickBooks. I can do it from here, and I can either manually enter invoice numbers or let it auto-generate invoice numbers, and it will populate QuickBooks with the transactions that I put in here. So it's really a seamless two-way interface between QuickBooks and Valor.
And Gene, please touch on the fact too, and you can see line items there, right? You can
Yes.
synchronize with QuickBooks services and line items, and you're selling the same things, and you can push new items into QuickBooks and all of those benefits.
Absolutely. And you'll see here, by the way, that while it's not terribly exciting that you're going to be ordering via mail order or online, but you can see in here the items that I had in my inventory, which you saw in the VP 800, which you saw in the product screen, which you can now see here. Again, everything's in the cloud, the inventory is in the cloud, everything's all shared. So by entering it into the portal, it just magically shows up on all the devices that are connected to that MID and makes that inventory shareable and available.
Thank you, Gene. So, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the recommendation to talk about what's new with Valor, and then if that will start to wrap up at the very end. But to you, the sales agent, one of the things that I want to highlight over here, and I'm super excited that we've got Valor on this call today because it's been a hot minute since I've been here. But there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. Now, previously in the chat, I put a link that goes to the Valor Paytech website, specifically to that knowledge base. Take advantage of that. Go through there, but start to think about how your merchants can utilize Valor to their advantage. So one of the things that Gene had said earlier is that a merchant can dig into a particular customer, see how much they spend, see their frequency. Well, did you know that Valor has a program called Engage My Customer? So the tools are built into this. All you have to do is just do a little bit of research. Think about who that customer is that you want to present Valor to, and I'm willing to bet it's probably going to be a tool available to help increase their business. So Gene, I mean, obviously the biggest reason why we brought you on board here today, we wanted to talk about what's new in 2026. You gave us a pretty good list. Would you mind just kind of running through that with our audience and help them to get even more excited about presenting Valor as an option?
Sure. So we just recently launched FlexFactor, which I could talk about here in a minute if we have time.
We do. Go ahead.
So FlexFactor is, and maybe it's just easier for me to go here. Let's just do this. Let's go to the partner resources, materials, and training. Let's go to quick reference guides. And let's find FlexFactor for the ISO, FlexFactor for the merchant. So FlexFactor for the merchant, did that PDF load okay?
It
Are you
did,
seeing that?
correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so that takes you through a quick reference guide on setting up FlexFactor and how it works. But here's essentially at 30,000 feet what FlexFactor does. FlexFactor allows you to monetize a merchant's declines. So FlexFactor is a third-party service that they sign up for independently. It is underwritten just like a merchant processing account, but it is run by some ex-Experian people who know a lot about credit and businesses and credit scores and people's scores, et cetera. And what happens is if I'm a business owner and somebody comes in to buy some of my goods and they tap their credit card and it's declined, and I have FlexFactor signed up, I have the ability to then tap a box that says send to FlexFactor. Roughly 20% of the decline transactions, FlexFactor's magic AI will say it should have been approved, but it didn't because of something that they have the ability to adjust. When they do that, they then will take that transaction. Like I said, 20% of them they will approve, and the merchant will see FlexFactor approved on their screen. That means they can now provide the customer with whatever goods or services they purchased because the transaction went through. They'll be able to see those FlexFactor transactions in their portal on this screen here. And if I go back to last month, you'll see there's some in here. You'll see FlexFactor right here in the middle. some FlexFactor transactions that were taken. So the merchant, again, one place sees all their transactions. It is funded separately. There's a 15% haircut that merchant takes in order to get that transaction approved. If it's a convenience store working on 5 points of margin, this is not the solution for them. But any business that you call on that can offer a 15% or greater coupon to get that business is a perfect partner for FlexFactor. Because if it's I'm making up a number, I'm an automotive service station. Most of my money is labor, it's not parts. You came in, it's $1,000 bill, your card didn't go through. If I send it to FlexFactor and FlexFactor approved it, you get $850 right away. It's funded, no fuss, no muss. If you tell the customer to produce another card, hey, this didn't go through, do you have another card? Customer might not have one. If you say, hey, can you go down to the ATM and go get $1,000 and bring it back? Customer's not likely going to be able to do that. So for businesses that do decent sized tickets where they can afford 15% versus not getting the transaction at all, this is a perfect solution for them.
So the example that you cited, auto repair shops, obviously always going to be high ticket items. Since the inception of FlexFactor, what would you say are some other businesses, industries where this could be a good fit, Gene?
Anything service related where there's labor, plumbers, contractors, tow trucks, any business whose biggest percentage of the ticket is labor related versus hard goods and services, or the goods that they're selling has a huge markup. And for example, there's a huge markup in the hearing aid vertical. There's a huge markup in cosmetic dentistries and anything that are like that, where there's large percentages of markup. Those are great sweet spots. For all intents and purposes, though, rather than trying to find one of those odd goods verticals that has a lot of margin, I would stick to people that are in the service industry. Those are easier targets, easier to find. Again, automotive repair, anything that's service based, plumbers, electricians, any kind of business on Angie's list is mostly labor, not a lot of goods, painters, etc. Those are all perfect businesses for this kind of a product.
So less about the tangibles and more about the intangible services that a business can provide.
Yes, the labor is more fungible. I mean, I don't know about you, but somebody comes out and gives me a quote for a service that I know is $50 worth of goods and $3,000 worth of labor. I'm going to beat them up on the labor cost a little bit because I know that I can. And
Right.
those whatever businesses those fall in for you personally will be businesses that you'll also be able to do with FlexFactor.
Excellent. I know that you've got a couple of other pieces that you wanted to share with our audience too. Why don't you talk to our audience about Duo Pricer?
Yeah, so I unfortunately don't have the Duo Pricer with me, but
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken, the Duo Pricer's in here somewhere. So bear with me a second. Let's take a peek and see if I can find it. I probably should just search for it, but I'm keen to see if I
I
can
was going to
find
say,
it in here.
if it's easier for you, do you want to talk through the instant funding piece?
Yeah, let me do that let
Yeah,
me
go
do
ahead.
that and talk about the other things that are coming. So for those of you that don't know, next week is the Electronic Transaction Association's Transact, which is the Super Bowl of our industry. This year it's in Atlanta, and everybody's going to be there, including a big chunk of your leadership team. I know Justin's going to be there. I've got a meeting with him and Rob, etc. Will be at this show. It's where everybody brings out their new stuff. And one of the things that we will be talking about there is Tap on Glass, which is coming in May. So you'll simply be able to tap your card on an Apple or Android phone and be able to accept a card payment by just tapping on glass. You won't need the rocket. You won't need the terminal. You can just tap on the phone. The Duo Pricer, I am not finding. So I'm just going to
That's
type it
fine.
in and see what happens. I can describe what it is, but a picture is
Yes,
a
go
thousand
ahead.
words. So, you know what? I can do this even easier. Let's just do this. Let's just go to duopricer.com. I think that's the URL. Voila. Amazing what happens when you go to the actual web page for the product. Um, this is a dual pricing gun. Um, basically what you do is if you have a business that's on 3% differential between cash and card, you hit the little percentage key and put in 3%. Now, whatever dollar amount you put in, it will automatically calculate the credit card price and print you a little 1 inch by 1 inch thermal label that you can stick on the shelf to be fully compliant when it comes to dual pricing. I don't have to calculate the price every time I put the number in. The pricing gun does it for me. It's the same price basically as a regular pricing gun at maybe $10 more, but it's such a huge time saver for a merchant, convenience store, anybody who needs to put dual pricing on the shelf to be compliant. That's what this product does for them. And it's just a huge time saver. So I believe you actually have these in stock now, as recently. So I think you can order this. If not, we absolutely can get you some inventory super quick. But I'm pretty sure you have these in stock today.
All right. So going to ETA next week, instant funding. What is it that you're pulling back the curtain on next week?
Yeah, so instant funding is another thing that we'll be launching at the show. Basically, you hear next day funding, you hear about all different kinds of funding in the merchant space. Instant funding is another third party service. The merchant signs up, and essentially what they do is they get instant funding. If they run $10,000 worth of transactions on that particular day, they can get money against that batch for that particular day instantly. Um, there's a tiny percentage that the merchant has to pay for instant funding, but it's also a profit center for PayCompass. So there's a slight difference between the buy rate and the sell rate, and that's something that you can offer. The price that we're going to bring it out at is competitive as anybody else that's offering the service. Yet there's still some margin in there for you to be able to earn some money as an agent as well. And that more details will come out in the coming weeks.
Yep. All right, and I see that we are getting closer to the top of the hour. So, sales agents, this is where I'm going to throw it over to you. This is your opportunity. You can put your questions into the chat. I'll make sure we get those in front of Gene. Or if you would like, just come off mute right now. Get your questions in front of the myth, the man, the legend, Mr. Gene Schenberg. And I'm going to assure you right now, he is quite possibly the #1 Valor expert over there at Valor Paytech. So let's open it up. Bring your questions on board. What you got?
You want to go to hands raising? Maybe nobody wants to step on another
Sure.
person.
We don't mind when they could do that too. If you want to raise your hands, raise your hands. We'll call on you, and you can get your question in front of Gene.
Well, I'm going to assume that I did such a good job and you were such a great moderator that we covered anything anyone could possibly think of asking.
Possibly, but you know what always happens? It stays silent for just a little bit, and then as I start to wrap up, somebody goes, "Hey, Scott, you know what I just thought of?" So that's what I'm waiting for, Gene, because it happens every single time. So let's see.
So while we're waiting, I will also tell you that if you do think of something after this session, please send that up through your management team. They collect all those questions and send them to me. I'll either answer them or find somebody in my office that can answer them. And that way, your office will know the answer for the next time somebody asks the question, as opposed to trying to message me directly. It's just, I'm a lot harder to get a hold of when there's hundreds of agents emailing me questions. So please just send up through your management structure and we'll get your questions answered for you.
I've got to chime in if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think maybe, and maybe I'm way off base here, but why there's not a lot of questions is there's been such an influx of technology, especially over the last couple of years, and so many options out there that as a sales agent who's closed over 1,000 deals, we are looking to get the sale close and get the most simple option in place to get the merchant live. Like I said, it's been overwhelming with this, at least for me, with this influx of technology. So it sounds like you have a great product, and I'm sure a lot of people are using it and will be using it in the future. But wow, all this technology, all these different companies coming out, it's been overwhelming. But thank you very much for the presentation. and I look forward to learning more about it.
Sure. Let me mention one last thing, though. And you talk about the overwhelming offering of hardware and terminals and technology out there.
Yeah.
Because Valor is cloud-based, the amount of software that goes in the terminal is a fraction of the amount of software that goes in a standard terminal that has to batch out at night. So your back office can deploy these terminals faster. They are, imagine having a Porsche, but never driving it faster than in a school zone. There's so much overhead available in our terminals from a processing and horsepower standpoint. They just run faster and more efficiently than the other terminals, which is another benefit of being in the cloud.
Oh, that's an excellent point. I appreciate that. That's
Sure.
that's good info. And I don't have to imagine driving a Porsche. I actually own one, so
There you go.
thank you for
Sure.
that was a very good answer.
Sure.
All right, Gene, I have a question for you. Does the
Sure.
VP 800 come with the dock that you use to connect to the cash drawer?
It comes with a charging cradle. I don't believe it comes with a communication cradle, but the communication cradle might be like $20 or $30. It's not an onerous price. But you have to order it separately. Otherwise, it just comes with a plain charging cradle.
Excellent. All right,
So I
sales
just wanna-
agents, go.
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
please.
Can I just
No, go
step in
ahead.
here for a second and just
Sure.
as someone who used to be on the support side, I can tell you that even just these basic functions of being able to find a receipt if in the event you have a chargeback is a really, really helpful tool. You can search and find this receipt to fight a chargeback. You can see who signed it. You can see their name at the end of it, how the card was accepted in the original transaction. I think that's a really valuable feature if anybody does, on the off chance, does have a chargeback. I think that as someone who's had to dig through those receipts for certain merchants and things like that, I will tell you that that is a really great tool. It provides a lot more information than you're going to get if you were to, call us to try as the processor to try to do that. So when you have a Valor terminal and you're able to search up those transactions and literally see the receipt, I think that and download that and send that off to fight a chargeback. That's just basic 101, but it's an amazing feature.
Thank you.
And for clarity, for those who may not have known who that mystery voice was, that was Beth Purdy from the Tempe office, who was employee number 1. And Beth has literally worn every single hat at Pay Compass. This is the voice that knows everything that happens front of house, back of house. Beth, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, my friend. Excellent. And sales agents, one more time. Questions? You got the man on the call. Let's get him out there. Anything in the chat or just come right off mute? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up today's Toolbox Tuesday. But before we wrap up, let's give a little bit of love to Gene Schunberg, who set aside the time to come in today, drop some knowledge on you. Gene, as always, it's great to see you, my man. I promise we're not going to wait another full year before we bring you back. But as always, we love hanging out with you, dude, and we can't thank you enough for making the time to join us here today.
My pleasure, and thank you to all the people at Pay Compass who took time out of your day to spend it with me to learn a little bit about Valor.
Oh, we do appreciate it. As always, you, the sales agent, you have any questions, you can always reach out to sales@paycompass.com. They're more than happy to help you out. Or, as John Marshall keeps pointing up here, pull out your phone, launch that Genie app. We're doing the very best we can to get the most up-to-date information to you so that you can empower yourself while you're out there in the field. As always, thank you for joining us every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. But guess what? We ain't done yet. We got another call coming up next week. Tuesday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. We're doing Coffee with Closers with our CEO, Justin Volrath. And until we meet again, domo arigato to all of you. Love seeing you on these calls. Look forward to seeing you all again next week. Take care, everybody.